Welcome to Thinking Outside, Mixing Inside the Box. My name is Chris, and today I want to talk with you guys and girls about automation in Studio One with the faderport or without the faderport. Why would you need automation in your mix? Well, if you mix and produce a song in the box and you need some violins, probably you use a VST and don't record a chamber orchestra. It's totally cool. The problem with MIDI instrument is they don't react to other musicians. So it could be a little bit static to use these MIDI instruments. With automation, you can help to humanize the instrument with expression, volume changes. You can also automate the EQ of a kick when you want the kick to be more present in the chorus. Or you could also automate the threshold of your bass compressor so that it doesn't start to pump in the choruses. Also, you could write the reverbs so there's a little bit of movement going on, or the panning. So let's check it out. How does it work in Studio One? Well, in Studio One it's pretty easy. If we go to this organ and we want to manipulate and automate, we just have to change the view, and then there's already volume and pan. And if I want to add some values or I want to write some values, I can manipulate the inserts. For example, more or less chorus or more or less de-esser or the threshold of the compressor. And here I find, for example, the value of threshold for my compressor. Add that, then I've got the possibility to automate that. So now when I want to change this value with the mouse, I have to give it a beginning and an end. And then I can add some points, because here the organ is playing, and change the value. So if I change the value here, the value changes also here. You see that on the knob. So it's not working very hard right now. So for example, when we go from the bridge into the chorus, now the horns, I want them to do a transition. And I can make this transition much bigger by automating the volume, for example. How would I do this? I go to the view where Studio One shows me the automation, which is here. So now I've got a line for the volume. So this is assigned to the faderport, but it's not writing. So we can practice to put an emphasis on this transition. We need to leave this place. We gotta be free. What I've been holding on, what I've been waiting. Okay, I'm happy with that. I did practice. So now I want to write this in the automation track. So I arm the track. Just go back. That's writing. We need to leave this place. We gotta be free. What I've been holding on. No, it's written, and Studio One should read it. So let's listen to that. It's good, maybe a little bit too much, so I can drag that down a little bit. But apart from that, I'm pretty happy. We gotta be free. What I've been holding on. But volume isn't the only thing you can automate. So the next thing I want to do is automate the reverb of my organ. Here's the organ, and maybe I want to give it some more reverb. Cool. On my channel, I've got a send for my so-called synth reverb. Now I want to do something about the intensity of that send. So I go to Add Automation Channel, go to my sends, here's the synth reverb, and here's the send. I add that. Now I've got a track to automate. So here's also the send of my synth reverb. And if I touch this, it shows up here in this inspector window. And now I can just assign the fader port by clicking that little square, that little triangle, to the send of my reverb. Let's see if it works. A lot. Nothing. It works. So if I want to automate that, I just need to write it. So I arm the track, tell the slot that I want to write something, press start, go over the solo. And I move up and down to give the reverb a little bit of movement. Done. Now it should read what I did. And let's listen to this. So additional to the Leslie effect, which is already panning in the left and right, now I've got some movement in the reverb. A little bit more, a little bit less. It works pretty good. What else can we automate? I want to automate my kick. There's always this thing in the verse, the kick sounds good, you know, and then in the choruses it's not noticeable anymore because all the other instruments come in and everything is a little bit more intense. So I need another EQ or more brightness, for example, on the kick. And let's try to automate that. So here's my kick. There's already some automation going on. Yes, the send to the kick bus to help the kick be more prominent. It's just a little bit more volume for my kick bus. By the way, my kick bus is an 1176, and if you compress it, there's the 1176 provides a kind of more bass fundament, at least from my perspective, and I really like that trick. So we want to automate the kick EQ. Let's see what's going on here. We've got an EQ. It's a Neve emulation from EK Multimedia, and I think I want to automate this part of the EQ and make it brighter in the choruses. We have to add this. Search in our inserts. So here's my EQ and here's my high. Add this. Let's see what it does. If I drag it up, let's look into the plugin. Here's my plugin, and exactly it manipulates the high frequencies. So now I want to try to find the section of the choruses. There it's starting. It helps a lot to give it some label. That's why I do it. So I set an in point and I set an out point. There it is already. And drag it up. So now we automated the kick and it's much more present in the chorus. It's a little bit too much. Let's bring it down. Yeah, I like this. The next thing is I want to automate the whole mix. So the choruses are fatter and a little bit louder. How would I do this? Well, I already did it. You just can't use the mix tool, which is in Studio One. and then automate the volume of the mix tool. You can also automate the gain here of the 2-bus channel, but I love to do it with the mix tool. You add an automation channel, which I already did. This would be this one. I call it main channel, and then I write in the volume of the whole mix. So when the chorus comes, I want to lift it a little bit up, so it goes from 0 to 0.5. It's not a lot, but it's noticeable. And at the end of the song, there's happening a little bit more from there to chorus number 3. Let's see. Now we've got 0.8 decibel. And at the end, we go back. Another thing you could do when you compress a little bit harder on the 2-bus is automate the threshold of your 2-bus compressor. I add another automation channel. Here it is. I call that 2-bus comp threshold. I add from the console, right down here, there's the main, there's the 2-bus channel. And here are the inserts. So on my inserts, I've got an EK multimedia compressor, and there is the threshold. Now I can automate it. Threshold is here, and it's already working, and I don't want it to have a gain reduction more than 4 dB. But when the chorus kicks in, it's compressing a little bit too much, so I want to loosen it up. So I make an in point and an out point and another one. So at that point I want to take the compression down. In fact, I need to raise it here a little bit. And let's see what happens. Threshold here. So it stays in the given range I want it to work, where it sounds good for me. And if the compression be higher, wouldn't sound that good to me. Same thing here. It's a little bit louder, so I wanted to loosen up even some more. And now we go to a normal part. Works good for me. And here's a cool trick I want to show you guys in Studio One, which includes the mastering section. One thing I cannot understand why Studio One has no automation tracks in the mastering section. I think this is something PreSonus really should include. But with the faderport, you can do some automation while exporting, and I didn't see a video about that. And I think it's a cool trick. So here's the mastering section with the song. And I've got my Shadow Hills mastering compressor on this one. And maybe I want to automate the threshold of the optical section of the Shadow Hills in the beginning. But of course in the mastering section I've got no automation track. So if I touch this, it shows up in the inspector here, and I can assign my fader port to this optical threshold by clicking it. and connect it with the fader port. So now I can write the threshold. In the beginning, there could be a little bit more compression, and then I want to take it back. So I can write that in manually while exporting, which is a cool trick, I think. So if I go on export, of course I want to have a WAV file. And now it's exporting in real time. And I still can write the automation of the compressor. So now the compressor is working harder, and now I take it back. Cool trick. By the way, this window shows the threshold of the optical, and this window shows the threshold of the discrete. And in the shadow host mastering compressor, if the optical is working harder than 1 or 2 dBs, it begins to pump. That's why it's interesting to fiddle around with the optical section. So these are my tricks. The automation is written in the export, and I think this is very useful. I hope I could show you some tricks and give you some ideas about automation in Studio One, and see you next time in Thinking Outside and Mixing Inside the Box.